Hate it or love it, 21 Savage has completely taken over hip-hop in every single way possible. I mean, we're essentially halfway through the decade, and it is not a bad take for us to consider 21 Savage the MVP so far in. In fact, I'm starting to question whether or not 21 Savage is the next king of hip-hop. I don't think that's a bad thing. From the beginning of the decade, the 21 Savage takeover has been basically in full effect, especially considering that 21 Savage ended off the previous set of 10 years with a Grammy, which, considering he was looked at as a meme rapper, is a pretty big deal. And honestly, 21 Savage's recognition from such a prestigious place might have surprised a person or two who were unaware of his development as an artist, but overall, I Am Greater Than I Was more than just an album title. It was the summary of a career in one sentence. And the record more or less brought 21 a respect that came not only from his peers and newer rappers in the game, but the older school of rappers as well. And as time has went on, that respect from the older generation has really paid off if you're 21 Savage. Like, I don't know, 21 Savage always seemed more mature than the current generation, and I think that has paid off in the sense that he hasn't really fallen off, which is a growing epidemic in hip-hop, by the way. But also, it makes him just a bigger deal than he is through being with people that are higher than them in terms of popularity or legendary status. And of course, you know the collaborations with Drake, but it goes further than that. It's collaborating with Nas and collaborating with JID. Like, I don't know, the subtlety of doing collaborations with different types of artists is what I think makes 21 Savage different. And when you look at what he's done for the last 5 or 6 years, that's mostly what it's been, collaborating. I mean, going back to the beginning of the decade, he kicked it off with collaborating with Metro Boomin on Savage Mode 2.
Y'all need to stop playing, nigga.
Of course, the duo of Metro Boomin and 21 Savage was always bound to be good, but this record also came out in a crucial point in 21 Savage's career, a point where he became a meme for being British, and though that may not seem like a lot, becoming a meme can really ruin your whole career. And in the hands of the wrong person, 21 Savage being born in Britain might have been the worst thing possible. If it was Logic, he would have been telling you about how in his blood it's like the Brit and the Yankee.
In my blood is the slave and the master.
But 21 Savage dealt with it pretty well.
Keep talking that UK shit like I don't got AKs.
And speaking of collaborating, you got Drake, you got Young Thug on this, and most of all, you got a legend in Morgan Freeman narrating this whole thing. Honestly, all of this is awesome, especially for 21 Savage, as despite a quarantine, Savage Mode 2 was a huge success in both the careers of 21 and Metro Boomin. It became the biggest opening week in terms of sales for both artists, and a sign of what was to come for both careers. Of course, the focus here is 21 Savage, but let's not forget that Metro Boomin is hip-hop's biggest producer. And that Spider-Man album, by the way, might be my album of the year for last year. Anyways, as 2020 turned into 2021, 21 Savage kept collaborating with artists, most notably J. Cole. And even though it's technically not that big of a deal, being the first artist to collaborate with J. Cole on a J. Cole album, after 8 years of J. Cole not doing features on his album, or at least real features, has to count for something. In a way, you gotta think this speaks to how much Cole respected 21 Savage. 2022 would continue that trend as well. Tyler, the Creator, and Pharrell Williams would team up with 21 Savage. And honestly, it's hard not to think that 21 Savage wasn't the guy you want on your track. Not since 2017 Migos had anyone had this type of clout in terms of features. Everybody wanted him. And towards the end of the year, not only was he working alongside Metro Boomin, he was also working alongside The Weeknd.
I don't wanna know if you're playing.
Working on what is probably the biggest hit of his career so far.
I'm the one put you in that Leontay fashion over model. I put you on the runway.
And sure, this is technically a cover, but 21 Savage does pretty good. I'm telling you, there's something about 21 Savage and Metro Boomin that just fits. And I mean, hey, working with one of the biggest artists in the world has to count for something. Which is why him collaborating with Drake on Her Loss is such a big deal.
21, do
your thing, 21.
It speaks to what I was talking about earlier when I said that 21 Savage may not be on the popularity level that Drake is, but just associating yourself with a man like Drake has to mean a lot. And for as much as Her Loss is hyped up, I think the more significant feature is the one on Jimmy Cooks. This song is the one that went #1, topped the charts. But more importantly, this song was the best on Honestly Nevermind in the eyes of most people. And it's clear that Drake took note of the success that the song had, and that was more or less why Her Loss got released. I think my biggest problem with Her Loss though is that I don't like Her Loss as much as I like Jimmy Cooks. And that's not me saying that Jimmy Cooks clears like the whole record, but I'm just saying, like, on average, would I rather listen to Jimmy Cooks 17 times or Her Loss? I'll take the prior. And most of that thanks to 21 Savage, to be honest with you. And I know I mentioned this earlier, but 21 Savage does have a song with JID.
Me and my money attached emotionally, I get the clutching if you.
And it happens to be the one song that caught the most fire at the end of 2023. Of course, that's mostly because of Jid, but it still speaks to what I was saying about 21 Savage placing himself in the right places. Because just after this song caught fire for a few months, 21 Savage was ready with an album in hand. A solo album at that, which marks his first solo project since 2019. And once more, 21 Savage was pretty successful.
Thought a nigga said something.
Usually January is a dead spot in music, but I guess 21 Savage and his team was prepared for that because they came in hand with a fake movie to stir people up. They got some high profile actors for this too. Honestly, I thought this was just 21 Savage's independent low budget movie, and despite how bad the trailer looks, I thought they were gonna run with it, which looking back is stupid of me, to be honest with you. Anyways though, what the trailer was hyping up in reality was 21 Savage's new album, American Dream.
I shoot a pescatarian, but he eat up all the beef.
The record isn't as conceptual as you would think a record named American Dream would be, but at the end of the day, it's 21 Savage doing 21 Savage things. If you like the average 21 Savage song, you're probably gonna like this whole record. But even if you don't, the instrumentals on this albums are worth a listen. Letter to My Brother specifically, I would not be surprised if this becomes the deep cut classic of 21's career.
Once you cross that line, it ain't no trying to fix it.
It sounds like such a like prime Lil Wayne type beat. And now that I say that, I kind of wonder what Lil Wayne would sound like on this. But that brings us to where we are now. And though I wouldn't say that 21 Savage is the king of hip hop, I would not be surprised if a few years from now we're having conversations between him or Tyler the Creator, hopefully a JID in there. And I mean, I guess all I really gotta say is that 21 Savage is really good and I respect him. Anyways, it's been a while, mainly because I got sick. And I also had to take a flight to somewhere, a mystery place. But now we back, hopefully. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, by the way. With that being said, though, shout out to Gay Dilla, shout out to me, and yeah.